Hi, welcome back to ODE YouTube channel. Today I'm going to make a kind of a review of a different review of this little notebook that I received. I received it from this store from the United States. It's called the PenThing, and this is the Ink Swatch Plot Log. I made the unboxing video, and this is a little notebook. I talked about the characteristics of the notebook before, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time. I'm going to show you how to use it. And this is a notebook, as I was saying, that is planned to note down your inks and what you have in your pens and to keep track of things, and at the same time to rate the inks that you are trying. So I want to show you how it behaves and what I have put here, and then I will show you how in real life how I would use it. So in first page I have here the Pelikan Edelstein which is a very dark green. As you may see, it was written with Visconti Breeze, so it has a place to write the ink, then the pen with the nib if you want to tell, and I think this is a quite important thing. I have to say that because I use essentially F nibs, I do not take a lot of advantage of the characteristics of the pens, of the ink, sorry. So I rarely see some sheening or shading because I tend to use very thin nibs. So you have the name of the ink, the pen and the nib, a place to make a swatch. Then you can put the date you inked the pen, and I think this is really important because there are people that keep track of the pens they have and when they inked it and when they should clean it, and it's also here a place to put the date cleaned. However, when you're going to write here, you don't have the date of the cleaning the pen yet, but it may be useful for some. For me, it's not that important to have the date cleaned and the date inked. I think it could be a good thing for me to start from now on to keep track of what I'm doing with inks. I usually don't record any of this information, but I think if I can keep to this kind of structure, it may be useful. Then there are some places for remarks, for you to say what you think about ink, and that's it in the first part. Then you have the second part where you really make like a grading of the ink, and you have such things like saturation, it's an important thing, flow, shading, bleeding, feathering, dry time, sheen, halo, shimmer, and the overall rating. I think this is quite useful. However, it may look a little bit strange to have this overall here, and you may have lots of things in one, which means you gave low grading, and then you have a high grade on the end. So it may be a little strange, but it happens because some of these properties are bad, I would say, like bleeding or feathering, and others may be good or bad. It depends on your personal choices. So shading, this has low shading, so I'll put here, but maybe, I'm not sure about that. I like it in some inks, not that much in others. The shading may be a positive or a negative thing. It depends on you. Also, the drying time, it's kind of subjective. And for example, shimmer, an ink that has no shimmer, of course it has to be here in one. It doesn't mean that the pen is performing badly on the shimmer properties. It just has no shimmer, so no shimmer, so it's not to be expected. This may seem odd, as I told you, because the grade here may not be like the average of those, but it makes sense when you think about it, so it's not a bad thing. So what would I suggest about this notebook? I'll show you in a moment. Then, moving on, I have here the Pelikan Edelstein Geen, which is a kind of a teal blue. it's nice. Oh, nice. I forgot to make this. I'm that chaotic when doing things with inks. I will fill it later. I don't have the Lamy 2000 steel here around with me. I don't know how I forgot. But okay, let's go on. I have here the Sailor Okuyama with Nettuno 1911, and of course I made a mistake. This is a beautiful, very beautiful dark burgundy. It is almost a brownish color, and here you see it has none of these properties, but very high saturation, very good flow, so it's really good ink, and it has some sheening, and I really like it. Then I have here also Parker Quink Black. You can see my gradings here. Also, what I feel is that I never find, or rarely I find some sheen, but I usually use very narrow nibs, as I told you. And here it is the Divine Design Pink. Also, many of the characteristics are here because it is quite a plain ink, a bright pink ink. So I have to fill this down, and I don't have many other inks written there yet. So what I have to say about this notebook: overall, it is very, very nice. I really like it. I think it's a good thing if you are organized. If you are not, it depends on you. If you want to become organized, you may want to get one of these. If you really don't care about the organization of inks and pens, so this is useless. But I think this is a good exercise to have some discipline and to know which inks are you using more and for how long a certain ink is inside a specific pen. I have to say that the paper is quite thick, it's quite nice. There are many inks here that, not many, the ones that I put here that have no bleeding, but I know if I have used moleskin paper, for example, they would have bled completely into the other side of the paper sheet. I have also to say the suggestions or the criticism that I have to make about these. It's two. I have two suggestions here to make. I would here add a bigger space for the ink swatch. So you could make maybe 1/3 for doing like I did, like writing several lines all together, then maybe a part for a cotton swab, and then another part for just writing and passing with a cotton swab over it to see how the ink performs with water. So this is something that I would do. I would just increase this size. It's not a big deal. And here I would add two new parameters here, yet I think they are quite important. After testing the ink with water, I would write here something about the water resistance of the ink. I think that is an important property of the ink for some people. And I also would put a line for the evaluation of the color. Color is very subjective. If I had to see this, I would not grade very high the color, and I would grade this one very, very high. So we are talking about ink properties, but not really saying that I really love this color or I don't really love it, even though the ink is quite good. So these are my suggestions. I think next time this ink swatch space may be bigger, and two lines here please. One for water resistance and another one for the ink color quality. And now I will just pick two other pens that I have here around me, and I will make two of these just to show you in real life. I will write with this one just to show you the ink inside. And so it is the Montblanc Daniel Defoe. It was a limited edition ink that has a very, very nice color. A green that it's very hard for me to describe. I will show it to you here. And I will just see the wetness and the smear of it. I love this color. You see? It's really, really beautiful. So, let's go on. I would say that this HP paper is really good. Now, the pen is the Pelikan M800, the green one, and it has an M nib. When was it inked? The moment I purchased it, and I really don't remember, but I know it was in 2019. When it was cleaned, it was not. The remarks. One of my favorite greens ever, but limited edition. So this is the sad part. We won't get any more. Now, about the qualities of the pen, I would say the ink, I think it's quite saturated. The flow is really, really good of this ink. The shading, I would say that the shading is quite good. The bleeding, I don't feel that it bleeds. Let me check. No bleeding on the other side of the page. The feathering, I think there is no feathering. The dry time is medium. It's not a very fast drying ink. The sheen, that's the hard part. I don't really usually can't see a lot of sheen, and I would say there is no sheen with this ink. Maybe some people that are more into inks than I am, maybe will be able to say something about it. Now, so sheen, I would say none. The halo, I don't feel it has any halo properties. And shimmer, no shimmer also. And the overall of this ink, I would rate this ink like this, even if there is only one property here on the 10. So, really like this. Now, let's see another ink, another ink entry, let's call it like that. And the ink in this pen, in this gorgeous pen, is the Leonardo Officina Italiana. I will not write it all because it gets too big. And it is the Turquese Hawaii. This is a beautiful blue that when you smear it, you can see perfectly the turquoise, and that you can't see that much when you're writing. It looks like a regular blue, but then you have the turquoise part, which is very beautiful. The pen is the Leonardo Officina Italiana. I forgot and started to write all the name. Momento Zero. I have to squeeze it to have some room here to write it all. Momento Zero Grande. And this is the dark Hawaii. And the date it was inked with this pen, with this ink, I'm not sure. It was someday in October 2019. The date it was cleaned, it was not yet. The remarks, beautiful blue, and I don't even like blues that much. And let's see about the ink. I would say the saturation is quite high, the flow is perfect. The shading in this pen, it is, I would say it is quite good. If the nib was a broader nib, you would see it better, but it has good shading. You can see there Leonardo looks much more dark than the rest of the L and E look more dark than the rest of the writing, so it has some nice shading. I believe there are papers where the shading is more apparent, like the Rhodia paper, so when you do this assessment you should not base yourself only on what you see in this paper. I find this paper to feather a little bit, to not bleed anything, and it doesn't bring all the shading of an ink to the surface here. So there are some characteristics of this paper that make the assessment, the grading of the ink not to be perfect. But I think you never write with only one paper. So when you grade one ink, you should do like an average of all the characteristics you see on an ink on different papers that you may use. The bleeding. So here in this paper, let us see. Here, no bleeding. No bleeding. The feathering. And let me move it closer to see if there is some feathering. Yes, very, very little, but some. I would say this is because of the paper, because in other papers like Rhodia I don't have any. In papers like Moleskine it bleeds all over and feathers a lot. Drying time, I would call it 7. The sheen, in some papers I have to say that I see some sheen in this ink. Some friends that are more into inks than I have, they say not that much. I think so, so I'll put this is my opinion, but maybe there are people that see better than I. Then, the halo, I think there is also some halo properties to it. Shimmer, no, this is not a shimmering ink, and the overall, I would say, it is a 9. It is not a 10, just because it is a blue ink, and I don't love blue inks. So, this is what I had to show you. What I think about this, very nice, very good little notebook. It has room for a lot of these ink reviews. Just add the 2 items that I told you. So I have to thank you again to Brian from the PenThing for sending me this notebook for testing and reviewing. I will fill it up, and I would say that if I had many of those, I would make a notebook for each color of ink. One for the blues, another for the blacks, and so on. So I really enjoyed it, and this will be like a discipline for me to start noting down the inks, the pens that I use them with, and what I think about them. So, thank you once more. Thank you for watching the video. I hope to see you soon. Bye.